So this is a video on the health message in the Seventh-day Adventist Church, and I'm bringing to light things that used to have been kept and that people have forgotten about, and we started walking a different way as science seems to grow and grow in one direction, and we seem to leave behind a lot of things, and we've forgotten many of the things that we used to know and believe. So I'm just going to read 3 quotes from Ellen White. We're going to take them, we'll break them down a little bit, but pretty much I'm just going to read what she says. These videos are just short and sweet and to the point. In order to secure a healthy digestion, food should be eaten slowly, right? If you have a smoothie, well, you get that down pretty quick. It's not eaten slowly. Frankly, most of the times it's not eaten. Some people are wise enough to leave it chunky and put in seeds and do stuff that you have to chew a little bit. And then it starts to become a little bit more healthful. But let's get through this. So I'll start again. In order to secure healthy digestion, the food should be eaten slowly. Those who wish to avoid dyspepsia and those who realize their obligation to keep all in their powers in a condition in which will enable them to render the best service to God would do well to remember this. If your time to eat is limited, do not bolt your food, but eat less and masticate slowly. The benefit derived from food does not depend so much on the quantity eaten as on the thorough digestion, nor the gratification of taste so much on the amount of food swallowed, as in the length of time that remains in the mouth. Those who are excited, anxious, or in a hurry would do well not to eat until they have found rest or relief, for the vital powers already severely taxed cannot supply the necessary digestive fluids. When traveling, some are almost constantly nibbling. If there is anything within their reach, this is a most pernicious practice. If travelers would eat regularly of the simplest and most nutritious kinds of food, they would not experience so great a weariness, nor suffer from so much sickness. So here she's talking about you're better to eat less, you're to masticate slowly. If you don't have time to eat, shucks, don't eat at all. Just wait until you have time to eat. For me, I gotta learn to slow down. When I eat real slow, I feel real good. When I woofer down, if I'm just eating and I'm unconscious about my eating because I've eaten so fast all my life, I'm just like chew. It's thoroughly, it's small enough that I can swallow it. Down she goes. And I'm not bringing it to that liquid state that it needs to be in my mouth. So in order to bring a smoothie into a liquid state, well, I don't know how much digestive juices you have that actually go into your smoothie when it's wet already, because your body's going like, I need to wet this food in order to be able to digest this. But when it's already wet, I don't think your body secretes as much digestive fluids. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know if science can tell that or not, or if they've ever studied it out or not, but digestion begins in your mouth. Oh, did I? And it's from your saliva. So let me read another quote. The dishes of soft foods, she just says soft foods, right? So soft foods, it's not even necessarily wet soups or stuff like that. So the dishes of soft foods, the soups, the liquid foods, or the free use of meat are not the best to give healthful muscles, sound digestive organs, or clear brains. So right here, she said, or liquid foods, smoothie, right? It's not good for your digestive organs, and it does not give you a clear brain. So smoothies aren't helping you. They're making it harder for you to understand the health message and to understand these quotes. Oh, how slow we are to learn. Oh yeah, me, myself included. And of all our institutions in the world, the school is the most important. Solid foods require mastication will be far better than mush or liquid foods. I dwell upon this as essential. I send my warnings to the college at Battle Creek to go from there to all our institutions of learning. Study upon these subjects and let the students obtain proper education in the preparation of wholesome, appetizing, solid foods that nourish the system. They do not have now, and have not had in the past, the right kind of training and education as to the most healthful food to make the healthful sinews and muscle, and give nourishment to the brain and nerve powers. So here we see that the healthful foods are the solid foods, and she'll say in another quote, drier foods. So some people might say, well, there's a lot of fruits that are, really, really liquidy. And how that works exactly with fruits, I'm not sure, because fruits are what God gave man to eat in Eden. He didn't give them anything else. You had fruits and you had nuts, right? Just, some people will say, well, what about the grains? Well, I'm going to get into that in a different video. That will be the last video probably in this series, and it'll be about how we know what God gave us to eat. I did another video of it earlier. I might include this in this playlist as well. But anyways, so we just read this, right? So these foods don't help us to have clear brains. So the last quote I'm going to read is, it says, grains used for porridge or mush should have several hours of cooking, but soft or liquid foods are less wholesome than dry foods which require thorough mastication. So all of a sudden we see something here that we have soft foods. So we have grains. We even have bread, right? The staff of life, bread. We have grains that require thorough mastication. But if you cook a grain, which requires hours of cooking, even our instant oats should be cooked for about half an hour. 20 minutes, half an hour is what we need to cook instant oats as well. We often think, well, they're instant. No, they're not instant. And a lot of people will soak them. But we have to remember, grasses were meant for animals, and it was not meant for man's food in creation. At the very beginning of creation, God did not say, eat grass like an animal. He said, eat fruit and nuts. They're all the food that God gave man to eat grew on trees, and we need to understand that. So just the idea that we have to cook these grains for several hours helps us to know that it was not something that was ever given to man to eat originally. But there's a reason why it's there. Different video I'll do on that later. So now I want to read two last quotes to bring this all into context as to why this is important for us today. Ellen White actually says something just totally startling. She says, if the members of our churches show that they care not for the light on health reform, but continue to walk in the light and the sparks of their own kindling, they will lie down in sorrow. And the painful part of the history is that the influence of those older church members will leaven the newly come to the faith. The Lord could not now bring many souls into the truth because the church members that have never been converted and those who were once converted but who have backslidden. What good would these unconsecrated members do to the converts? They would make of none effect the message that God has given his people to bear. And now this last quote brings everything else into context and is beautiful. Let the pupils be impressed with the thought that the body is a temple of God in which God desires to dwell, that it must be kept pure, an abiding place of the high and noble thoughts. As in the study of physiology, they see that they are indeed fearfully and wonderfully made. They will be inspired with reverence. Instead of marring God's handiwork, they will have an ambition to make all that is possible of themselves, in order to fulfill the Creator's glorious plan. Thus they will come to regard obedience to the laws of health, not as a matter of sacrifice or self-denial, but as it really is, an inestimable privilege and blessing.